If all you want to do this holiday season is read, then I have got exactly what you need. Hi, welcome, come on in. My name is Aoife, and today I am coming to you with a bumper holiday romance recommendations list. I have put together 31 fantastic holiday romances that you can read the entire way through December. This isn't just Christmas romances, I also have a couple of Hanukkah romances in here. I've got a book about Diwali. I've even got a book that celebrates 3 different holidays all within its pages. I absolutely love a holiday reading session. When December rolls around, my reading becomes instantly more festive. I am always about those red and green and gold covers. I'm all about the Santa visits. And I absolutely love curling up on the couch with some chocolate, with a cup of tea or some coffee, with a blanket, and just diving into the books. Because we have so many to get through, let's not waste any time. Starting with In a Holidays by Christina Lauren. If you really love the vibes of Groundhog Day, you will truly love this book because this is also a time loop book. This is about Mei Lin, who has been going to a holiday cabin in Utah with her family every single year around Christmas, except that this is the last year that they're all going to be going there. She has also told one of her best friends, Theo, just how she really feels about him, because she feels like this is the end of the chapter and everyone is going to go their separate ways now. When she goes to bed that evening, Mei Lin wishes that she could just have everything back the way it was, and that is exactly what happens. Mei Lin wakes up and she is on the plane on her way to Utah before the holiday has even started. Wrapped Up in You by Talia Hibbert is a super short and Christmassy novella about William and Abby. William is an award-winning actor and he has just been named as the sexiest man alive, and Abby is his best friend's younger sister, and she has always felt like she is completely off limits. Except for this Christmas. A blizzard has stranded both of them at Abby's grandmother's cabin, and things have started to heat up between the two of them because it looks like William can no longer escape how it is that he's feeling about Abby. Kiss Her Once For Me by Alison Cochrane follows Ellie, who fell in love with a mysterious woman while she was working at the bookshop one Christmas Eve, but the woman completely disappeared and she's never been seen again. A year later, Ellie is in a little bit of turmoil, but Andrew, the bookshop's manager, has a prospect for her. He is going to fake marry her, bring her home, introduce her to his family so that he can avoid all of the Christmas questions that you always get from your older relatives, and it's going to give her a new lease on life. However, what Ellie wasn't expecting is that the mystery woman from the bookshop is actually Andrew's younger sister, Jack. It is a very similar situation in Make the Season Bright by Ashley Herring Blake. This is following Charlotte, who 5 years ago was left at the altar by her fiance, but has now started to pick her life back up. Charlotte is living in Manhattan. She is the member of a 4-piece band, and Sloane, one of the band's other members, has invited everybody home to Colorado to spend Christmas with her family, to have a couple of jam sessions, and to get ready for concerts in the new year. What Charlotte wasn't expecting is that Sloane's sister is Brighton, the exact woman who left Charlotte at the altar all those years ago. Charlotte and Brighton now have to pretend that they have absolutely no chemistry between one another, they have no history between one another, and they really have to try and make it seem like they've just met for the first time so that they can keep the peace this holiday season. Holiday Romance by Catherine Walsh follows Molly and Andrew. They have been best friends for 10 years, ever since they both separately arrived in Chicago from Ireland, and they are just about to board their plane home to Ireland on Christmas Eve, except that disaster has struck. There is a huge storm brewing over the Atlantic, and all flights have been completely grounded. But Molly and Andrew persist in making their way right across the Americas, somehow getting across the Atlantic that way and making it back to Dublin just in time for Christmas, and also discovering some feelings that they may have left lie completely low over the last 10 years that are now starting to bubble over. A Very Merry Bromance by Lyssa Kay Adams is the 5th book in the Bromance Book Club series, but it can still be read completely fine and separately as its own standalone. This is about Colton and Gretchen. Colton is a super successful country music star, but ever since his one-night stand with Gretchen last year, things just haven't flown so well for him in the music sphere. Gretchen is a lawyer, and her family is really putting a lot of pressure on her to kind of get their whiskey business going so that she can come into the money that they are going to inherit to her. Gretchen decides that she is going to ask Colton to become the face of the marketing brand for this whiskey, but he has got his own stipulations. He wants to take her on 3 dates before Christmas Eve so that they can relive the magic that they had during their little tryst last year. And this is how he's going to win her heart back. If you'd like to try out something short, then why not go for the entire Under the Mistletoe series? This features 6 books, all with super festive feelings, from 6 of the world's biggest romance authors at the moment. You've got Christina Lauren, you have got Alexis Daria, you've got Ali Hazelwood in there, you've got Tessa Bailey, and all of them bring their own flair and their own magic into the holiday season with some fantastic super short novellas that will just tide you over when you have a little bit of time to get some reading done. Lizzie Hockley-Jones's Make You Mine This Christmas is following Half, who has kind of been abandoned by her parents this Christmas. They are going on a holiday cruise all around Scandinavia and have kind of forgotten to tell their daughter this. She goes to a party one evening and meets with Christopher, who she drunkenly snogs in the kitchen. Chris and Half kind of hit it off, and when he finds out that she's going to be alone for Christmas, he invites her back to his parents' house, where, once again, she is going to pose as his girlfriend. While she is on the way, Half meets a beautiful, striking woman at the bookshop in the train station, and they have a really nice moment together, but when Half's train is called, she is whisked away from this woman. When Half gets to Chris's house, it turns out that the woman who was at the bookshop is actually Chris's sister. The follow-up to that, Under the Mistletoe with You, is following Chris about a year or so later. He is living in London and has been trying to get back to his parents' house for Christmas, but there is a massive snowstorm across the UK, so all of the trains have been grounded. The problem is that Chris has already listed his apartment on Airbnb as a sublet for the next couple of weeks, and somebody has already taken it, so now Chris is going to have to share his house for Christmas with the person who is going to be moving in. That turns out to be Nash, a world-famous actor on whom Chris has had a crush for years. And when the two of them are spending a little bit more time together, they start to get to know each other a little bit better. The Holiday Swap by Maggie Knox follows twin sisters Charlie and Cass. Charlie is one of the judges on one of the country's biggest baking shows, but she has had an accident at work, fallen over, and now cannot smell anything or taste anything. As you can imagine, being the judge on one of the biggest baking shows in the country, taste and smell are very important senses to have. She calls her sister Cass and asks if she can kind of switcheroo with her. Cass is pretty much okay with this because her life has been falling apart back in their hometown. She's been trying but struggling to keep their parents' bakery going. So Cass decides that she and Charlie can swap places. Charlie can take over the reins of the business and Cass will try and be the judge of the new baking show. However, when they get to their new homes, Charlie falls in love with a firefighter in the area and Cass has fallen in love kind of spectacularly with the doctor who has been taking care of Charlie since the incident. The writing duo's second Christmas book, All I Want for Christmas, follows Sadie and Max. They are two of the contestants on Star Search. This is a huge TV show looking for the next big name in country music. Everyone who is watching the show has completely fallen in love with Sadie and Max's chemistry, so they decide to play up to this advantage. They're going to be a couple on and off the stage so that people will vote in for them a little bit longer, so that they will keep them in the competition, and so that they can use this advantage for their own gain. There's just one problem. Sadie and Max cannot stand one another, and they have barely been able to stay in the same room for 5 minutes. 8 Nights to Win Her Heart by Miri White is about Andy, who is not particularly looking forward to her first Hanukkah since her father's passing, but her neighbour Leo has started to take a little bit of pity on her. He's going to bring some food to her apartment for the next 8 nights so that Andy isn't feeling so alone for this first holiday season on her own. Of course, when they're getting to know each other over these next 8 nights, feelings are definitely going to sprout between the two of them. A Merry Little Me Cute by Julie Murphy and Sierra Simone follows Bea, or as she might be known to her fans, Bianca Von Honey. Bea is a huge name in the adult entertainment industry and her closed door account is one of the most followed on the platform. However, she has been hired as the new lead in an upcoming Hallmark Christmas movie and she is starring opposite none other than Nolan. He was her childhood crush, and it turns out that the feelings are rather reciprocated because Nolan has been a huge follower of her account ever since she went viral on Closed Doors. Now the two of them have been sneaking away on set for some trysts together in their dressing rooms and not exactly keeping with the family-friendly vibes that Hallmark wants them to have. Wreck the Halls by Tessa Bailey is about Melody and Beat. When Mel and Beat were younger, their mothers were two members of one of the world's biggest girl groups. They used to go on tour with their parents together all the time, and Mel and Beat actually had a really nice relationship, romantic and friendship, as they were younger. But when the band broke up and everybody started to go at loggerheads with one another, Mel and Beat also fell out of touch with one another. It is now 10 to 15 years after the band had separated, and Mel and Beat are kind of conspiring. They want to bring their mother's band back together so that there's going to be a huge reunion concert on Christmas Eve. It just also means that Mel and Beat now need to get reacquainted with one another. And boy, howdy do they. Love Light Farms by BK Borison follows Stella, who is the owner of Love Light Farms, a Christmas tree farm in the small town of Inglewild. The Christmas tree farm has been entered into a competition which is run by the influencer Evelyn St. James, and she is going to come to the area, take a look at the farm, take a look at their application, and consider them for the grand prize of $10,000. That is really going to help the farm to kind of get back on its feet after a very dead season this year. There's just one issue. On the application form, Stella said that she ran the farm with her boyfriend, and Stella has been chronically single for the last 10 or so years. She asks one of her best friends, Luca, to fall in place as Stella's boyfriend with whom she runs the farm. And of course, when they're starting to spend a little bit more time together and they're spending time under the twinkling lights and near mistletoe, friendship starts to turn into something a little bit more. Window Shopping by Tessa Bailey is about Stella, who has just come out of prison, but before she went in, she actually did a course to design shop windows. She has just walked by one of the biggest department stores in town, and she is not super impressed with how their Christmas display looks. She's muttering about this under her breath and talking about all the things that she would change, but she doesn't know that she is being overheard. The guy who overhears her is Aidan, and he is the manager of the department store, and he is taking basically all of her feedback personally, but also on board. Aidan hires Stella to bring a little bit more life into the window display, but also things start to brighten up between the two of them as well. The Christmas Tree Farm by Laurie Gilmore is the third in the Dream Harbour series, and this is following Kira. She has just moved to Dream Harbour and has taken over the Christmas tree farm in the area because she had the idea that it would be super festive and cozy and wonderful, and reality is completely the opposite. The farm is cold, the electricity doesn't work, and it is a lot harder than it looks to actually fell the trees in the first place. She catches the eye of Bennett, who has just moved to the area as well, and he has got some experience in setting up businesses, and he's also a little bit more used to the physical labour of working on a farm. When Kira sees him swinging an axe and felling trees with almost no effort required, she starts to ask herself why it was she kept him at arm's length anyway. The 12 Dates of Christmas by Jenny Bayliss follows Kate, who's feeling a little bit of a humbug this season. Okay, she's got a pretty stable career, and she's also enjoying working part-time as a baker at her friend Matt's bakery, but her love life is absolutely tanking. Her best friend signs her up for the 12 Dates of Christmas, a kind of a speed dating in the area where every night for the next 12 days, Kate is going to go on a new date with a completely new person and open her surroundings a little bit. Kate is a little bit concerned because she has seen who is around the area of Blexford and she's not super impressed with what's on offer. But it turns out that the mystery of love might be solved a little bit closer to home than she was expecting. Stuck on You by Portia McIntosh follows Sadie, who is a super busy personal assistant to Damien, a huge artist in London, and she is hot desking in the studio and leaves a couple of sticky notes complaining about her boss for the next person to come in and see. They have a super nice back and forth communication with one another, but Sadie has never met the person who is going to be responding to all of her notes. She notices that her boss Damien is coming up quite a lot in these notes, but it doesn't surprise her when he tells her that he has got nobody to celebrate Christmas with. She takes pity on him and invites him back to her small town in Yorkshire where he's going to spend Christmas with her family, go through all of the Christmas traditions that she and the town and her family have, and kind of opens her eyes to what's really underneath the shell that she was so disappointed in. All I Want Was You by Fallon Ballard is about Jess and Nick. Yes, I know. Jess and Nick are both romance writers, and they've had varying degrees of success recently, but Nick has completely eclipsed Jess's success lately. Both of them, however, are going through writer's block at the moment. They're at the same remote inn for a Christmas kind of writer's retreat and meetup, and they've been assigned a room together because the rooms have run out at the inn. A huge snowstorm is brewing outside of the inn, and everyone has been kept indoors under safety measures. But it turns out that there might be a way to solve their writer's block, and that is to get rid of the tension between the two of them. How My Neighbor Stole Christmas by Megan Quinn is about Story and Cole. They have a kind of a history together, and they both grew up in the small area of Cringlewood, where it is Christmas every single day. However, Story has moved away from the area for the last 10 years, and they haven't seen each other in that long of a time. Story is about to come back to Cringlewood, however, because her Aunt Cindy has had a fall and broken her hip, so Story and her sister Taryn are coming back to the area to take care of their aunt. Story immediately dives headfirst into all of the Christmas decorations and the festivities and the love that she's been missing out for the last 10 years, including the town's Christmas festival. Cole hasn't taken part in the Christmas festival ever, but since Story has returned, he is adamant that he is going to one-up her, and their enemies to lovers story is just about to begin. The Matzo Ball by Jean Meltzer is about Rachel, a Jewish woman with a huge secret. She is a massive fan of Christmas. She's been able to keep her job as a Christmas romance writer under wraps from her parents, but things are kind of starting to unravel. Her publisher has asked her to write a romance inspired by Hanukkah, but the well is starting to run dry. Rachel knows that there's no magic in Hanukkah, there is no wonder, there is no splendor, it's just not Christmas. She decides to go to the Matzah Ball, which is a celebratory dance held on the night of the 8th night of Hanukkah, to get a little bit more inspiration, and this is where she runs into Jacob. Rachel and Jacob met when they were teenagers back at summer camp, and they had an instant dislike to one another. However, it turns out that Jacob now might be a completely different person to the Jacob 15 years ago, and Rachel is really drawn to him. 3 Holidays and a Wedding by Marissa Stapley and Uzma Jalaluddin is set in the year 2000, when Christmas, Hanukkah and Ramadan all took place around the same time of year. This is following Mariam, Anna and Saif, who are all heading back to Canada to celebrate their respective religious holidays, and disaster has struck on the plane. There is a massive bout of turbulence, which results in Mariam and Anna confessing all of their deepest and darkest secrets to one another. Just so happens that sitting behind them is Saif, on whom Anna has had a crush for years. The three of them are kind of stranded in a small town when the plane runs out of fuel and needs to stay for a couple of days so that they can gather everything back together. Not only is it the three of them, but it is also Mariam's entire bridal party as she was on the way to Toronto for her wedding. And things are starting to spice up a little bit between Anna and Saif. The Mistletoe Motive by Chloe Leese is about Jonathan and Gabriella, and they clash heads every single year about their feelings towards Christmas. Jonathan absolutely hates the holiday season, whereas Gabriella is ready to start celebrating already in about August. However, this year things are starting to take a turn for the worst, and Bailey's Bookshop, where both of them have been working for the last couple of years, is going through some financial turmoil. The numbers are looking so bad that it turns out one of them is not going to have their contract renewed by the start of next year. Jonathan and Gabriella then go in a head-to-head about who is going to bring in the most sales, and the loser is going to have to resign. They have come out with all-on war against one another, and they've got some tactics to keep the other distracted and get their numbers up higher. The Christmas Swap by Talia Samuels is about Margot and Ben. Margot is hired for the Christmas season as Ben's girlfriend, and she's going to be spending 2 weeks in the glamour and luxury of Ben's family home, a huge sprawling manor in countryside England. While Margot is there, she is expecting to fall in love over the Christmas period, and she does. Ben's sister Ellie. Royal Holiday by Jasmine Guillory is the 4th book in the Wedding Date series, but it can be read as its own standalone. This is about Vivian, who tags along with her daughter Maddie, who is going on a work trip to London. She has been tasked to style one of the royal family, but Vivian has caught the eye of Malcolm. He is the private secretary to the Queen, and Vivian and Malcolm are caught up in a whirlwind 2-week romance. Because both of them are okay, with everything coming to an end on New Year's Day when Vivian has to go back to America. Right? A Holly Jolly Diwali by Sonia Lally is about Nikki, who has just been fired from her job and has always lived her life very much by the book. She's a risk analyst, so she has always kind of kept the what ifs at the back of her mind. But this time she's about to throw caution to the wind. She hops on a plane to India, not just for her best friend Dia's wedding, but also in time for Diwali, which is the festival of lights. While she's here, she meets with Samir, who is over for the wedding from London, and the two of them get to know each other and spend a lot more time together, not just while they're at the wedding, but also as a little bit of an extracurricular activity. However, Nikki has just been offered a job back at home, so their little time together might be coming to an end a lot sooner than they were expecting it to. Just Like Magic by Sarah Hogle follows Betty, who this year isn't exactly swimming with festive feelings. She has got this Instagram life where it looks like she is dripping with diamonds and has so much money at her disposal, but the exact opposite is true. Betty is really financially struggling and has been in debt for such a long time. She goes to her record player and accidentally plays All I Want for Christmas Is You backwards. This ends up summoning Hall. He is a Christmas spirit who has been assigned to her to bring some festive cheer back into Betty's life. It's just that she is off on her journey to spend Christmas with her completely dysfunctional family, and she's not entirely sure how Hall is going to fit in with all of that. Love You Alatka by Amanda Elliott is about Abby, who has been asked by her local community to set up a Hanukkah stand at their local holiday fair. While she is ringing vendors, she realizes that everyone expects there to just be a manger and twinkling lights, and that's not exactly what the story of Hanukkah is about. She decides to call in for some help and goes to a couple of apps and asks if there are any other Jewish people in the locality. And it turns out that there is. The other Jewish person in the area is Seth, and Abby is not looking forward to the prospect of working with him. He comes into her bakery every single morning and he is exactly the opposite to her. He is full of sunshine and happiness, whereas Abby just wants to get along with her day. Seth promises that he is going to help Abby set up the Hanukkah stand, but there is one condition. His parents want him to bring home a good Jewish girl for the holidays so that they can meet her and so that he and her are going to get married. And Seth hasn't been able to find that good Jewish girl until Abby turns up in his inbox. If you love Legally Blonde, then go and check out 'Tis the Season for Revenge by Morgan Elizabeth. This is following Abby, who has been dating Richard for about 4 years now, and she is expecting that he is going to pop the question using his late grandmother's ring this year. Of course, this is what she has been waiting for and what she has been working for over the last 4 years of dressing more conservatively, of changing her hairstyle, of watching everything that she says, and pretending to like golf. What actually happens is that after a Halloween party where she has come gamely dressed as a Playboy bunny, Richard tells her that he needs to start getting serious, and that means dating somebody from his law firm. Abby takes this personally. She dyes her hair back blonde. She opens up her case of swear words that have been buried deep within her, and she also starts dating one of the other partners at Richard's law firm just to make him jealous. But it turns out that there might be another reason why Abby and Damien are getting on so well. The Holiday Honeymoon Switch by Julia McKay is about Holly and Ivy. They have been ride or die, bury the body best friends since the moment they first laid eyes on each other. They are so in sync, they even look alike. Holly is jilted at the altar by her fiancé, and Ivy immediately comes to her rescue. They decide that they are going to switch places with everything that is coming up. Ivy is going to go on the non-refundable honeymoon to Hawaii in Holly's place, while Holly is going to escape to the cabin in the Hudson Valley, stock up on snacks, bring some rom-coms with her, and heal her broken heart. Holly isn't expecting that Ivy had actually rented this cottage from their high school friend, an academic rival of Holly's actually, who has had a major glow up. What Ivy isn't expecting is that Holly's ex-fiancé is going to also turn up at the resort with a brand new woman in tow. And there might just be a hot bartender who is about to make everything a lot easier to deal with. There you have it. 31 romance recommendations, one for every single day of December. Have I tempted you with any of those? And are there any that you are particularly looking forward to read this holiday season? If you'd love to leave me a comment but you can't think of anything you'd like to say, then just leave me a gift wrapped emoji. Don't forget to like and subscribe because I have new videos up every week. Now, get on out of here.